Picture city at night, millions of tiny lights, phones, cars, sensors blink like stars. Every blink is a data point, and somewhere inside that ocean of data, algorithms decide what you see, what you buy, who gets a loan, who is flagged at airport, and even what diagnosis a doctor considers first. So here's a question that sounds simple, but is not. Can AI be moral? And if data is everywhere, can big data replace human cognition, our judgment, understanding, and responsibility? My thesis is AI can simulate moral reasoning, but it cannot be moral in the full philosophical sense, unless we redefine what moral agency is. And big data can augment human cognition, but it cannot replace it, because cognition is not only prediction, it is also meaning, interpretation, and accountability. In philosophy, moral usually means more than producing good outcomes. It involves at least three layers: norms, rules or principles of what should be done; agency, someone or something capable of acting for certain reasons; responsibility, the ability to be accountable. That is why ethics is not just mathematics. It's also reasons, intentions, and justifications. And this is where AI becomes tricky. AI can output decisions. But is it acting for reasons or just transforming inputs into outputs?
So let's ground this with two classic philosophers, Aristotle and Immanuel Kant. For Aristotle, ethics is about virtue, a cultivated character that aims at eudaimonia, a flourishing life. A moral person doesn't just follow rules, they develop practical wisdom, phronesis, to choose well in messy situations. For Kant, morality is rooted in autonomy. To be moral is to act according to a law you rationally give yourself, not merely because of impulses or external control. Kant's key idea is the categorical imperative: act only on rules you could will as universal law, and treat persons as ends, not merely as means. Now ask, where does AI fit? Today's AI, including machine learning, is primarily instrumental. It optimizes a function, it behaves like a highly advanced tool. It does not cultivate character like Aristotle's virtuous agent, and it does not legislate moral laws for itself like Kant's autonomous agent. So, at minimum, we should say AI does not possess moral agency in the human senses. Still, someone might object: if an AI consistently chooses actions that reduce harm and increase well being, doesn't that count as moral? That sounds like utilitarianism, associated with Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, the view that the right action is the one that maximizes happiness or minimizes suffering. In utilitarian terms, an AI can be trained to approximate moral performance, reduce accidents, allocate resources efficiently, detect disease earlier, but there's a philosophical trap. Utilitarianism demands that we measure and compare well being. Real life includes values that resist clean measurement: dignity, rights, fairness, and the meaning people attach to their lives. And even if the model performs well on average, moral life is not only about averages, it's about particular people and justifiability. So now let's move to why big data can close the is owed gap. Here we need David Hume. Hume famously pointed out the is owed problem. You cannot logically derive what we ought to do purely from what is. Yes, big data is excellent at describing different patterns, such as what people click, buy, and do. But morality is about what should be done, not only what's statistically common. If big data tells us this group is more likely to default, that's a prediction. It does not automatically justify denying a loan. The moral question requires normative principles, fairness, equal respect, and overall social responsibility. So, big data cannot replace moral judgment because facts do not equal values.
Now, consider human cognition. Cognition is not just pattern recognition, it's also understanding, grasping meaning. Philosopher John Searle proposed the Chinese room thought experiment. A system might manipulate symbols perfectly without understanding what the symbols mean. You could have correct outputs without genuine comprehension. And Wittgenstein reminds us that meaning is tied to use in a form of life, a human social context where words, rules, and reasons matter. AI can model language and behavior, but whether it understands is contested. The practical point is statistical competence can exist without moral comprehension. That matters because moral life often requires explaining reasons, emphasizing, and being answerable, not just being accurate. Let's connect this directly to my major: data, analytics, AI systems. In real systems, ethical problems arise from bias, data reflects historical injustice, models can reproduce it, opacity, complex models are hard to explain, accountable gaps. When harm happens, who is responsible? The developer, the company, the user, the dataset? This is sometimes called the problem of many hands. Responsibility is distributed across many actors. If an AI system denies healthcare or misidentifies someone, the decision looks automatic, but it's built on human choices: what data to collect, what objective to optimize, what errors are acceptable, and what trade offs we ignore. So, the ethical challenge is not AI versus humans. It's humans using AI without owning the moral consequences.
So, can AI be moral? If moral means being a responsible agent with intentions and autonomy closer to Kant and Aristotle, then no, not in the current technical and philosophical sense. But if moral means producing morally preferable outcomes under constraints, then yes, AI can be part of moral system, like a calculator can be part of honest accounting. The morality, however, resides in the human institution and the norms around it: transparency, audits, fairness criteria, feedback mechanisms, and the willingness to halt deployment when arms appears. In other words, AI can be morally aligned, but it's not morally accountable. What about the second question? Can big data replace human cognition? Big data excels at correlation and prediction, but cognition includes interpretation, deciding what counts as relevant, concept formation, building new categories and explanations, wisdom, knowing when not to optimize, responsibility, standing behind a decision. Big data can tell us what is likely to happen. Humans must decide what is worth pursuing. So, big data can augment cognition, help doctors, analysts, engineers, but replacing cognition would means replacing meaning and accountability. And that's not a technical upgrade, it's a change in what we think humans are. So here's the conclusion. AI can be engineered to behave as if it reasoned morally, but morality is more than correct outputs, and big data can extend our abilities, but it cannot substitute the human role of giving reason, choosing values, and accepting responsibility. The future isn't humans or algorithm, it's humans with algorithms under ethical governance. Because in the end, when a system arms someone, the question will not be what did the model predict, the question will be who decided this was acceptable and why.